Hey everyone, welcome to the UkeStuff channel. Today I'm doing a review of this ukulele. It's the Luna Concert Ziricote Concert Ukulele. Now, just to give you a little bit of background with it, there are about 3 different manufacturers right now that I know of that are making a ukulele that sort of looks like this. You have this model by Luna that came out earlier in 2019. You have the very famous Kala model, and there's also Bondi ukuleles is selling one as well. So what makes it different is that they're all laminate. Ziricote, from what I understand, is a very dense hardwood and would not make a very good resonant top. So this is just a veneer of that beautiful tone wood with the sapwood in between on all 3 of the products. They're all laminates. What is a little different is the pricing between them. I decided I didn't want to go the route of Kala for this one, and didn't really want to go through Bondi at this point. I might in the future, but that's something else. So I wanted to try a Luna. I have never owned a Luna, and I have connections with Parapol. I've been a presenter for Parapol, and they managed to get me this one. In fact, they had a choice of 3 different models of this same ukulele. And although what I can tell you is that when I've seen the Kala Ziricote models, they pretty much all look the same. They all seem to have the same sapwood. Like they're really focusing on making sure they have the same look. Each one of these looked very different. It had a different appearance on the front and a very different appearance on the back. So if you buy one of these, what you're really going for is the look. That's really what you're going for. So let's take a look at this particular ukulele, or ukulele, and talk about some of the more subjective issues on it. So let's do it. First of all, the cost. These actually retail quite a bit less, almost $100 less than the Kala or the Bondi versions of it. Close to $100, maybe a little less. Maybe a little more, depending on which one you're looking at, whether you're buying new or used. So you need to keep that in mind, that this comparatively is a bargain with this sort of Ziricote laminate compared to the other companies. However, it is more expensive than some other very good ukuleles, laminate or otherwise. So in the price point, it's on the lower end of Ziricote. It's not at the highest end of laminate, but it's certainly right in the middle to middle high of a laminate ukulele, really, at $169. Yeah, you can spend more, probably up to $250, $300 on a laminate, but that tells you where you're at. Most of them will be priced at $150 or less. That's the mass majority of laminates, until you get to some really good quality laminates. Now, the value, and I'm going to talk about this, I actually think you're getting less of a value other than just outward appearance than the value. So when you buy one of these, you can buy a better laminate for less. So that's where I'm at with it. The build quality is okay, but when you start looking at it a little more closely, there are some issues. The top is a little thick. I think they could go thinner on the laminate. Laminate is stronger than a solid wood. It should be able to handle a little bit thinner to get really good resonance, and I think it could be thinner. The fret edges, and this has been true of all the Lunas I've ever played, seem to have sharp fret edges. Now, if you have a Luna and your fret edges are perfectly smooth and always have been, great, but every Luna I've ever picked up has sharper fret edges, and this one isn't sharp yet, but if you listen, it's going to be. So that's a concern of mine on pretty much every Luna I've ever played, is that they can have sharp fret edges, and you're going to have to deal with that. Now, that's true of many ukulele companies, not just Luna, but just kind of lets you know what's going on there. A couple other goofy things. I don't know if you can see this, but the side markers at the 12th, I'm glad they're there, aren't even. They're uneven. It's a diagonal line. Well, if you connected the 2 dots, it'd be a diagonal line, not straight across. So that's a concern. And then I can't really pick this up on the camera. You can see it a little bit. The sound hole is actually pretty nicely finished on this side, But up here, I can see bare wood on the laminate, and the cut for this arch in the soundboard is just, it's rough and wonky. It's just strange. So why they went to all the lengths to make sure that this was good, and they even put on what I'm going to say, a faux, looks like a binding. It is. I mean, it is a little strip of laminate there, but it isn't an edge binding. So they have an edge bound neck and a fretboard, but they didn't embed the frets into it. It's just kind of weird. So in terms of build quality, I mean, otherwise it looks pretty well done. Notch kerfing and everything through it. It's well built overall, but there are just some weird scruffy points of it. It's kind of strange. So build quality, I just have to say, is right in the middle, because when you look a little closer, it is not flawless. The appearance is what's going to sell you on this. You're going to fall in love with that wood pattern, and that's why you're going to buy it. But there are a couple other little neat touches. Like I said already, that little strip there, the kind of faux bound fretboard, is very attractive. It sets off the mahogany neck quite nicely. But look at the nice wood in that neck. Now granted, you can see there's a joint there, and there's a really clear joint up here. If you can see that line right there. But that's not a problem. Most ukuleles at this price point, even above, are going to have joints in the neck. That's not okay. But the wood quality, that mahogany and the stain, is something else. So that's really an attractive neck. The headstock is attractive with that Ziricote finish and the styling of the Luna headstock. The edge binding with maple and then purfling on top of that is really nice. So there's so many things that are really nice to look at on this ukulele. So it's really, and it doesn't have the extra sound hole rosette, and I'm kind of glad it doesn't, because that would be too much. The wood already is enough. The maple binding is nice. And even this pale walnut fretboard doesn't look out of place with such a dark and caramely sort of ukulele. So in terms of appearance, I think it looks pretty good. It's, towards the upper edge, just with all the little nice touches that it has. You can buy one of these right now. You can go online and find them at a number of dealers, at your local Luna dealer, and we can kind of go with that, so it's most everywhere. Now, in terms of playability, the big question is, do you like a gloss neck? I know some players that hate them. To me, it doesn't feel bad at all as a neck. I don't mind that gloss feel. And no, it's actually a gloss, is the rest of the ukulele. It's a standard 35 millimeter nut. In fact, just a little bit more narrow than that. Pretty narrow string spacing, but it works. It's playable. So it's okay. I mean, it's middle of the road in terms of playability. The neck profile is C-shape, but it's a very flat C-shape. Not quite as baseball bat-like. I think Barry Mazik out of ukulele always talks about baseball bat sort of roundness. It's not baseball bat roundness. It's a pretty comfortable neck, except it's gloss. And if you hate a gloss neck, you're not going to like it. Now, in terms of sound, I'm actually kind of disappointed in the sound overall. It's very basic. That's all I can really say about it. It's very basic, very plain. It's not bad. So if you buy one of these, it's not a bad sound, but it's also not stellar. And for $170, I know I can go out and buy, for example, the Cala SS LNG with a solid spruce top and laminate back and sides, and it will have a much better sound. Now, granted, that's a solid top instrument, but it's still a concert-sized neck, super long neck, or just a long neck soprano. And then I know this isn't a solid top like the Cala, but the Cala's $20 cheaper than this one, and it's still actually very attractive. So in terms of sound, I kind of wish that it was better. Now, it could be strings, and if that's the case, what'll happen if you've been watching this channel is that it won't be long before I change these strings to fluorocarbons, and in fact, that might even be tonight after I'm done filming this video. So that might change how I feel about this instrument, but I'm going to review it with the strings it came on as long as I have those strings on the instrument still. The other thing that's kind of weird is the sustain of this. I'll try to play a C chord here and let you hear what I'm hearing. So what's weird to me is that the top notes stop sustaining before the bottom notes. And that's just weird to me. That doesn't happen in my brain, at least, with my other ukuleles. I'll do it again. Top is gone, and bottom is still ringing. That's just weird. I don't know why that's doing it with the sustain. Again, maybe a thinner soundboard would do it. I don't know. So the instrument isn't quiet, but it's softer than it could be, maybe should be for a concert. And it's a darker sound than I like. It doesn't have as much brightness, and again, strings may help that for me and may help me like this a lot more, but it's a darker tone than I'd like, a softer tone than I'd like, and just a not complex tone, and I'd like more at the $170 price point, I think is what I'd like to say about it. So those are my sort of subjective thoughts about this instrument. Let's talk about the objective things, the things that just can't be debated about it. It's a concert scale instrument. It is, now what's interesting is the scale length I measured is 14.875 inches, which is just slightly under 15 inches. So it's concert size, but it's just a little bit under what most concerts would be. There are 18 frets, 14 to the body, if that sort of thing interests you. It does have side marker dots, even when some of them are crooked, whatever. Double bout body with a laminate soundboard, a laminate back and sides, walnut fretboard, walnut bridge. It does not have a radius fretboard at all. The nut and saddle are plastic. They look sort of like bone, but they're plastic. And they're actually nicely finished. There's no sharp edges there. They seem to work pretty well, so I've got no argument there. It's not a compensated saddle. You can see that it's just straight across. A gloss finish, which means lots of fingerprints. I just wiped this down before I started playing it now, and I had washed my hands just a couple minutes too beforehand, but I have fingerprints all over this thing again. So one of the things that Luna should package with this would be a cleaning cloth, because you're going to want to clean it frequently. That's the way it's going to be. The overall length, it's actually kind of short, 24.25 inches. I guess that's standard for a concert, but comparative to the Enya plastic one, the Enya Nova that I just reviewed, it's about a full inch shorter, which is pretty amazing. And it's 1 pound, 1.6 ounces. So it's nice and light, it's nice and balanced. Close geared metal tuners. They look really nice. They have some really nice scroll work on the metal work there. You can see nice metal buttons. Again, if you hate the ears on a ukulele, you'll not like that either. But that's something you could replace. Doesn't come with any strap buttons or anything like that. Now, here's what I was kind of surprised at. The action on this, again, Parapole is a dealer, and they're not going to be setting up ukuleles for you. They sell to schools, and that's their main market. So Parapole didn't set this up at all. Action at the 12th fret was 2.25 millimeters, which is actually on the very low end of what you'd be, at least what I'd be looking for. Normally I shoot for about 2.5, but anywhere between 2.25 and 2.75, even stretching up to 3 sometimes, is okay for me. So the action was really well set up at 12th fret, and the action at the 1st fret isn't bad. It's just above 0.5 millimeters, which is, I like 0.5 millimeters sort of as a go-to. I guess it could be a little bit lower on this end, but quite honestly, it's close enough that I don't feel like I have to mess with it, which is kind of nice. The nut width is 34.76 millimeters, so just under 35 millimeters. If you check out the space between the strings at the 1st fret, it's 8.23 millimeters each between each set of strings for a total of 27.80 millimeters. That's narrow. It's okay. It's playable. Again, if you have really large hands, this may not be the ukulele for you. And the depth of the instrument at the 3rd fret, that's something I like to measure, is 20.71 millimeters. 20.71 millimeters at the 3rd fret. So it's really kind of a flatter, narrower press than a lot of the other Chinese import ukuleles. And it tells you right on the inside that it is made in China. And that's just kind of what we're looking at. So that is the Luna Ziricote Concert Ukulele. Now, I give these a rating between 1, I suppose none, potentially, 0 and 5 ukuleles, sort of like stars. And this, again, is totally subjective. This is up to me. I'm going to rate this ukulele 3 out of 5 stars. And I don't think that's overly harsh for the instrument, with kind of the scruffy ends here and there, and with kind of a weird, uninspiring tone. I think that's okay. So what I'm thinking about this is sort of, again, I've wanted to own a Luna for a long time. I'm not really into the Luna tattoo design. Some people like that. That's really not for me. I don't know of any local dealers here that sell these. And Luna has always had really negative reviews overall on gotaukulele.com. I don't think Barry likes the mass marketing of that. He also doesn't like how they've played and how they've been constructed. So I've always kind of avoided it too. I don't think you need to avoid it. This isn't something that if you buy, you have to feel guilty about. It's a 100% serviceable, overall attractive ukulele. You can play it and have a lot of fun with it. You don't have to feel bad if you own one of these. I think you can be okay with it. But I think you can do better, although you can't really do better for the price if you're looking for a Ziricote model. So I think that makes a difference. So again, it looks gorgeous until you really look close. The other thing I forgot to mention is that the fretboard has these front markers that are the phases of the moon, which goes well with the Luna name. So that is the Luna Ziricote Concert Ukulele. Again, selling for about $170, perhaps at a dealer near you or also online. Don't forget you can download the entire uke guide, a summary of all these statements, at ukestuff.info or ukeguide.info, and you can find it there. So thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with some more videos and some other content, and we will catch you next time.